But I'm not your enemy. But I'm not your enemy.
Alright boys and girls, I hope you're having a lovely day. Okay, today guys, I want to talk about the very first... Ooh, I've got it the wrong way around. I've got it backwards and everything. But yeah, I want to talk to you guys about Devil May Cry 1. I finished this game yesterday for the very first time. It was my very first Devil May Cry game, and I kind of just want to give you guys my opinions on it. This is a series that I have been putting off for a while now, because I've owned this collection of games for God knows how long, and I just for some reason have never played it. And it's super weird as well, because I really love Capcom, guys. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Like, I absolutely adore the Resident Evil series. I've played the first Onimusha and really enjoyed that, and I just in general like Capcom games, so it's super strange that I've never played Devil May Cry. Meanwhile, my older brother, who you guys probably seen on the channel a couple times, he loves Devil May Cry. Like, it's like one of his favorite things ever. If there's ever an opportunity to tell me how much he loves Devil May Cry, he'll take that opportunity. He's been telling me to play this series for ages now.
I love it! I love it more!
I think he just recently did a playthrough of Devil May Cry 5 and he was loving that. So yeah, he's a huge fan of this series and he's been telling me, Majel, you've got to play Devil May Cry, and today is the day. Well, I say today's the day. I've been playing it the last few weeks, guys, and yeah, I do like it, guys. Is it perfect? No. Is it my favorite series of all time? No. Did I think it was a very fun game? Yes, but it did have its flaws. Anyway then, boys, let's dive into how I felt about this game. So first things first, this game was nothing like I thought it was going to be. I've not seen a great deal of stuff about Devil May Cry, but what I have seen of it, it's just really wacky, over the top, and goofy. Like, the first thing that pops into my mind is that Devil May Cry 5 clip where Dante, I think it's Dante, is he's dancing like Michael Jackson. That's the first thing I think of when I think of Devil May Cry. And I was kind of expecting that with the first one, and there is a little bit of that, just a smidget of that goofiness. Like in the very first cutscene in this game, for some reason Dante thinks it's a good idea to block a motorcycle that's been thrown at him by shooting it with pistols. So that's pretty wild and goofy. That was amazing, by the way. It's one of my favourite scenes in the whole game. And there is the occasional goofy moment in this game, but for the most part, it is actually a lot more serious than I thought it would be. And a lot of times this game is trying almost too hard to be serious, because a lot of times it comes off unintentionally funny. Like, there's that one moment towards the end of the game with Trish, which, again, I don't think they were trying, like, to make that funny, but it just was.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
But yeah, for the most part, guys, Devil May Cry is actually quite serious, and I just wasn't expecting. I thought this game was just going to be really over the top and silly and goofy. Also, guys, side note, and this is kind of off topic, this version of Devil May Cry that I played, the HD PS3 version, maybe not the best version to play. I think visually it's okay. I mean, it's not a massive upgrade from the PS2 version, but my biggest problem with this game, and I don't know if it's just my copy of it, but for some reason, the audio lip syncing with the cutscenes was so bad, like it was completely off, that it made it honestly hard to like focus on the cutscenes.
You must be the handyman who'll take any dirty job. Am I correct?
Almost. I only take special jobs, if you know what I mean.
You're the man who lost a mother and a brother to evil 20 years ago. The son of the legendary Dark Knight Sparta.
I'd say I missed at least half of the story from this game and had to like re-watch it like via YouTube because of just how bad the lip syncing was. It was so completely off, guys. It wasn't like a little bit off, it was like 10 seconds delayed. I don't know what was wrong with this, and I tried googling it because I kind of just figured it was a problem with all of these copies, but I don't think it is. I think it's just like specific copies have this problem. But the super weird thing about it as well, guys, is that I don't think the other two games are affected, because I did try out Devil May Cry 3 and just wanted to watch a cutscene and see if the lip syncing was bad, and it seemed completely fine. So I think it's only Devil May Cry 1 that has the problem. So I either might get a new copy and test it that way, or I might just buy Devil May Cry 1 on PS2, because if I ever replay it, I don't think I can deal with those absolutely abhorrent cutscenes with the bad lip syncing. It was just so off. Anyway, guys, that was a bit of a tangent, but I just figured I needed to tell you guys that. So yeah, if you ever do play Devil May Cry, be careful with the PS3 version. There is a PS4 version of this game for the trilogy, so maybe that's the way to go, and I might do the same. But yeah, just figured I'd tell you. Anyway, guys, let's talk about the gameplay with Devil May Cry, because at the end of the day, that is fundamentally what this game is. It's obviously a lot of gameplay, and overall, it's an incredibly fun game, guys. I cannot deny. It's a bit of a hack and slash game, guys, but it's also quite different to most hack and slash games that I've played. So, like, for example, I don't know, God of War 3. I absolutely love God of War 3, but if I'm being totally honest, it is just a bit of a button mashy sort of thing where you just tap square, press triangle every now and again. There's not a great deal of thought in the way that I play those old God of War games. With this, it was a bit more strategic. Sure, I could just go in there and mash the triangle button. I think it was a triangle button. I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, I could just go in there and mash that button, but you weren't really going to get very good scores with that. Not that I was getting super high scores anyway, but basically the way the hack and slash works is that you can delay your attacks to mix up the combo. So you might press triangle twice, and then you hold it for a second, and then you hit it again, that sort of thing, if that makes sense. You mix in a little bit of gunplay as well, and I will say the guns do play a massive part in the gameplay, at least for me. I used my guns way more than I thought I would, specifically the grenade launcher. I abused the grenade launcher, guys. Half my fights I just went in there because it was just so overpowered.
I love you, bitch.
That's pretty much it, guys. You go in with your swords or whatever weapons you want to use. There's like a hand punchy weapon that I liked. You can use that as well. And yeah, you just fuck everyone up, basically. The enemy designs in this game are super cool. That's pretty one of my favorite things about this game, is just how incredible the design of different enemies were. They were just so creepy looking and hell-like. I loved the designs here, and also the backgrounds of all the different places you would visit. Super gothic and really cool. Once you get to the underworld in this game, it is just some of the most jaw-dropping aesthetics ever. Like, this game just oozes coolness when it comes to how it looks. It's just such a unique looking game, not just from the enemies and the backgrounds, but also just the characters themselves. Like, Dante just looks so cool, and then you've got Trish, who's awesome. Like, everyone in this game just oozes coolness. Definitely my favorite thing about this game is just how it looks, guys. Everything about this game in terms of its aesthetic is so awesome. Now, one thing I will say, guys, and I'm not going to say this in a oh, look at me kind of way, but I will say this game wasn't as difficult as I thought it was, or was going to be, rather. I heard, like, you know, the Devil May Cry games were crazy hard. I know that Devil May Cry 3 has the reputation of being the hardest one, but I think a lot of people have told me that Devil May Cry 1 is kind of hard, and there are a few moments that, you know, made me die a few times, but I have to say, guys, it wasn't that hard at all. I'd say I probably played like 90% of this game before it really started to actually kick my ass a little bit. It was only up until about mission 20 that I started to struggle a little bit, because before that, I was kind of just breezing through it. And I suppose if you want to go through the whole game without using any items, or you want to get those super sexy scores, you know, stuff like that, like, I wasn't doing anything like that. I wasn't, like, super good at this game, but in terms of just me going through the game, I didn't really have too many problems on normal difficulty. I found it completely fine, and I'm no expert, guys. I'm pretty average at most games, but yeah, I just figured it'd be harder. With that said, though, guys, I did say that mission 20 was where it started to get a little bit hard, and mission 20 was by far the hardest mission in this game, because you have to fight this boss called Nightmare, who you do fight a couple times in the game, and this fight was just way harder in this mission than he is in any other.
Actually, it was horrible.
I don't know how the hell you would do this fight without items, guys, because it would just feel like it would feel damn near impossible. So yeah, I kind of just abused Devil Trigger in this fight, and that made it a lot more easier. I had Ifrit, I think it's how you say that, Ifrit, I don't know, fuck it. I used that and just used charge attacks on his weak spots, and that was doing the job. So that's how I did it, and I did have to use a Vital Star as well. Mission 21 as well, the boss was super hard. You had to fight this guy called Mundus, I think, again, that's how you pronounce that, and this fight was just bad. Like, it was a really shit boss fight. There are certain aspects of this game that have not aged well, and I do feel like some of the bosses are a bit not great, but yeah, the Mundus fight was terrible, because it's a two-phase fight, and the first phase is, I suppose, fine. It's not awful. It's the second phase that is so bad. Like, you just cannot do this fight without items. Like, I'm convinced of it. Super cheesy and just awful boss fight that I did not enjoy. So that's one thing I will say about this game. I wasn't a big fan of some of the bosses. A lot of the bosses as well were made so much more difficult difficult with how bad the camera angles in this game. For those that don't know, this game had a lot of fixed camera angles, quite similar to a lot of other Capcom games, but honestly that aspect of this game has not aged well at all, because some of these camera angles make it so hard to actually see what the hell you're trying to hit. Like, they're just abhorrent fucking camera angles in this game at times. That nightmare fight that I was talking about earlier is made 100 times harder with how bad the camera is in that fight, because it's just really bad. Like, if you've played the game, you know exactly what I mean. But yeah, the camera angles in this game, not good. Also, whilst we're on the topic of the negatives of this game, the underwater levels in this game, didn't like those. I was not a fan of them. They're just super clunky. I just didn't like them. For some reason, they're in first person as well, so that kind of threw me off. They're not like super frequent. There's only maybe 2 or 3 times in the game that you have to go underwater, and it's usually for a short period of time, but I just really wasn't a fan of it.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
But you know what, guys, that aside, I liked pretty much everything else about the gameplay. I love the style of it. I love the hack and slash. I love the combos, the weapons. I just enjoyed playing the game. It was a very fresh and unique take on the hack and slash, completely different to anything I've played in the genre. Most of the hack and slash games that I have played are very similar to the old school God of War games. So you've got games like Dante's Inferno, for example, which almost feels like an exact replica of God of War 3's gameplay. Devil May Cry doesn't play like anything I've ever played before. It is completely unique, and you know, that's what I love about Capcom in general, is every Capcom game you play feels unique and distinct. Like, when you go back and play Resident Evil 4, I can't think of too many games that play similar to Resident Evil 4. Like, it's just completely unique. Onimusha as well, it feels just completely different to any other game. Devil May Cry definitely fits into that. Like, it just feels so different to any other hack and slash game, and yeah, it's just really good, guys. I did really enjoy it. Not perfect, not aged perfectly. Certain aspects of the game, again, have not aged well, like the camera, but overall, I think the gameplay is really good. So yeah, on the whole, guys, definitely enjoyed Devil May Cry. I'm looking forward to playing the others in the series. With that said, I've heard bad things about Devil May Cry 2, so I am a little bit sort of skeptical, but I don't know, maybe I'll like it, who knows. But yeah, that's pretty much all of my thoughts on Devil May Cry 1, guys. Let me know, have you played it in the comments, and if you have, how did you feel? Did you think it was good, bad? Do you think it's aged badly? Just let me know how you feel about this game and the series in general. Other than that though, boys, if you're new here, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one, alright? Peace.